Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Two Therapists Walk Into a Podcast. I'm Robin Green, an LCSW in Tucson, Arizona.
And I'm Stephanie Edsel, an LCSW here in Salt Lake City, Utah.
We are in Series 10, All the Pendencies.
If you've been with us since episode 1, you've been doing some real work along with us. We've gone into the nervous system, the history of the term codependency, and the family systems that wrote the first relational draft.
It's been a lot to hold, I think.
I agree, it has. And I want to say before we get into today, I've been sitting with something. I kept thinking about all the people who are going to recognize themselves in this series, and I wanted to make sure that recognition felt like something other than a verdict.
And I think that is kind of where today will live. And before we get into it, let's take a moment to arrive. Noticing wherever you are. If you're driving, maybe soften your grip on the wheel just a little. If you're sitting, feel the weight of yourself in that seat. If you have someone in your life that you love who's in a hard place, or if you've ever been that person for someone, see if you can just let that be present for a moment. Allowing yourself to acknowledge it. There's often a lot of feeling that lives around loving someone through something difficult. Some of it tender, some of it heavy, some of it complicated. You don't have to sort any of it out right now. Just allowing yourself to be here with you. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and take a breath, and let's get into it.
So there's a framework I've been wanting to bring to this series. Not everybody has heard of it. It's called Prodependency. It comes from Robert Weiss, sex and relationship therapist, an addiction specialist, and someone who has been in this field for a long time. He wrote a book called Prodependence, and his central argument is that the codependency model has been pathologizing love.
That is a significant claim.
Isn't it? I want to give a little context before we get into what it actually means clinically, because I think it lands differently when you understand where he was coming from.
Please do. Thank you.
And by the way, I found this book through my therapist, everybody. So it's a good book. Weiss
Yay.
was, it's good. Weiss was working primarily with partners of people struggling with addiction. And what he kept seeing was this. Someone would come in having held their family together, having managed chaos, having stayed when leaving would have been easier. And the clinical response was to hand them a codependency diagnosis, to essentially say, your attachment to this person is a disorder.
Totally. And I think this is such a particular kind of harm because they come in already depleted. And the first thing that they received was possibly another way that they were doing it wrong.
Exactly. And Weiss looked at that and said, wait, what if we started from a different assumption? Which I really love. I feel so passionate about this because I just resonate being somebody that struggled with a lot of addiction. So what if we started from the assumption that this person loves someone and love makes you want to help? What if that's not pathology? What if that's just what love does?
I think that really allows you to reorient everything.
It does. He's saying attachment is not a disorder. Wanting to protect someone you love is not dysfunction. It's the nervous system and the heart doing exactly what they were designed to do. It's that biology. Biology is stronger than we are. It's beautiful. But when we pathologize that, we're not helping. We're adding shame to an already exhausted person. It's like fuel to the fire.
And then the codependency frame, as we talked about in the earlier episodes, it lands on that person with so much weight. Like their caring is the problem, They caused this somehow by staying.
Correct. Like they're sick for loving.
And prodependence starts somewhere completely different. It starts with, you love this person. That's real. That's not the thing we need to fix.
What a cool angle. Let's maybe not diagnose the person who stayed.
Let's understand why they stayed and meet them there.
Absolutely.
Clinically, what this opens up first is the therapeutic relationship itself. If someone walks in already carrying the message that their love is disordered, there's shame as the foundation before we've even begun. Prodependence clears that. The entry point becomes, you love someone. That's real. What's been hard about that?
That feels like a completely different room to walk into.
It is, and it's actually more accurate because most people who are deeply enmeshed in a relationship with someone in crisis aren't pathological. They're frightened, they're exhausted, they're doing the only things they know how to do.
Things that made sense somewhere.
We're right back to episode 1. These behaviors have roots. They are adaptive. Prodependence honors that without making it the end of the conversation.
Ultimately, it makes space for a more honest look at what helping actually looks like. Not, your helping is the problem, but what kind of help is landing and what kind isn't, without the person feeling like they're being asked to stop loving, by the way.
Here's something that I want to stay with, the nuance, because I think the critique is real even while the reframe is valuable.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so the codependency model, for all its problems, and we named a lot of them, it did something prodependence sometimes doesn't. It named the person's own experience as worth examining. It said, you have patterns, you have needs, you have a self that got organized around someone else's crisis, and that self deserves attention.
The risk is swinging too far the other direction. Love is fine. Keep going.
That's exactly the risk. If the whole frame is you love someone and that's beautiful, we can then accidentally bypass the question of what about you? What's happening inside you? What did you set down in order to keep carrying this?
I think that question gets harder to ask when we've already said, your love isn't the problem.
Right? Because now there's almost a permission structure around the disappearing. There's love, devotion, it's beautiful, and meanwhile, there's a person in that relationship who hasn't had a need of their own met in years, who can't tell you what they actually want anymore, who has become so fluent in someone else's experience that they've lost access to their own.
Yeah. Self-abandonment with a warmer name.
Yeah, self-abandonment with a warmer name and maybe like wrapped up in a little bow. And that's actually more dangerous, I think, in some ways because it can be really hard to see. It doesn't really look like dysfunction. It looks like love. And, it is love. Maybe it is. And also something else is happening underneath it that isn't getting touched.
This is where I think about parts, because often there's a part that learned very early that the way to stay safe, the way to stay connected, was to make yourself about the other person. So orient entirely outward. And that part is incredibly loyal. It's been working so hard.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really need to be confronted. I think it needs to be understood, as we've been saying.
Right? Which is what prodependence nails, the compassion, right? But the work still has to turn toward that part at some point and ask, what do you need? What have you been protecting? And what would it mean to come back?
It doesn't replace the inquiry. It changes the tone of it.
Think of it as a better doorway.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a more humane entry point, but the work still has to include that person's own interior, like what they've been carrying, what it's cost them, like we've said, that self that's been waiting underneath, all of that. Exhausted, devoted, loving.
Start with compassion.
And don't stop at compassion. Our coping skill this week is called separating love from loss of self. It's a reflection practice, something to sit with, and definitely not something for a crisis moment.
Yes, please don't wait for crises to practice these tools, friends. They won't work the same. You won't like it. So tell us, what does that look like, please, Robin?
2 columns. So first column, what do I do in this relationship because I genuinely want to? What feels like love in action for me?
Okay. And the second?
The second is what do I do because I'm afraid of what happens if I don't?
Well, I mean, those can look identical from the outside, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really completely identical, same behaviors, very different origins.
And very different needs.
Very. And honestly, let's not judge what's in either column. It's just about knowing which is which. And that's the whole practice.
Exactly. Remember, sometimes just naming it is the thing.
Sometimes just naming it is everything.
Here's your nervous system nugget for today. When we love someone who is in distress, our nervous system responds to their distress as if it's our own. This is co-regulation. This is the biological design of your physiology.
It's actually really beautiful.
It is. And it also means that when someone we love is chronically dysregulated, our nervous system is chronically working to regulate them. That's an invisible labor. It doesn't show up anywhere. It just lives in the body.
Knowing that isn't a reason to leave or to stop loving. It's information. Your system saying, I've been working really hard. I might need some tending too. You are not disordered. Your system is just really tired.
Very.
Okay, so here we are at our reflection question for the week.
First, when you hear the word codependent, what does that word carry for you? Has it ever been used to describe you? or someone you love? What did it feel like to receive it?
That's a good one. Second, is there a relationship in your life, past or present, where love and fear got tangled up together? What did that feel like from the inside?
That's nice too. And let's follow up with the third. If someone told you that loving someone through a hard place wasn't a disorder, but a deeply human response, what comes up? Relief? Is there a pushback? Maybe something harder to name or even notice?
Next week, we are zooming out the cultural water we've all been swimming in. What Western individualism does to our understanding of needing people, who gets pathologized and why, and what healthy dependency actually looks like when the noise quiets.
That was very elegantly put. I'm pretty excited to talk about that. And remember, healing isn't linear, and we're here for the ride. This podcast is for educational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for therapy, medical care, or professional advice.
Listening to this podcast or this episode does not create a therapeutic, clinical, or professional relationship with us.
If you're experiencing distress, physical symptoms, or emotional concerns that feel overwhelming, we both encourage you to seek support from a qualified healthcare or mental health professional.
And if you are in immediate danger or need urgent support, please contact local emergency services or a crisis line in your area.